did you find your way to art, and how would you describe your relationship to art?
I think that's a really long story, and again, it happened a while ago. I would go back to my childhood, um, and it's really interesting to speak about this now because I'm in my childhood bedroom,
Mm.
where I grew up, which is outside of DC. I was born in Shanghai. My parents are both medical doctors. Now they're research scientists. They work for the NIH. And because I grew up in Washington, I had access to art museums at a really young age. I started going to museums with my parents, and then even throughout high school. I think it was because I was a big nerd. Instead of going out, I would just go to the Smithsonian. And of course, because the museums were all free, there was just incredible access to culture that I otherwise wouldn't have. I think the way that I got into art was very much my own journey of self discovery because it wasn't until I got to college, and started meeting more people who are quote unquote in the art world, where I realized so many people really grew up with parents who were either collectors or very much people who were actively within the industry, I guess. But yeah, my parents aren't art people at all. And I think even myself, giving myself the chance to realize that I could study art was, I keep telling people that it was my coming out moment when I told my parents, of course, my Chinese doctor parents, that I wanted to study art history instead of biology. They had a complete heart attack and, not joking, threatened to stop paying for my tuition. And that coming out moment was just really important to me because um, I had no idea what I would do with a degree in art. I guess my parents even said to me at some point, "What are you going to do? Work in a museum?" And here I am. Um, but I think it was something that I always had gravitated towards. Like even as a child, I knew I was just very sensitive to my aesthetic surroundings. I loved to draw. I loved making art. Um, in high school, I had an art teacher who taught us contemporary art. I think that was extremely rare for something at a public school. And I started going to the Hirshhorn Museum. We had she invited one of her former students to talk about what she was studying in college, and it wasn't until then that I realized you could study art history. And so I always had that in the back of my mind. I knew that I loved looking at pictures, creating pictures. The visual world was something that just gave more meaning into my life. And I've found a path that seemed right to me because everything else seemed wrong.